Really excited to be filming today's episode because I will be doing a little bit more of like a lifestyle, a day in my life kind of concept. And I have a very special friend. His name is Vimal. He's an entrepreneur that's based in Hong Kong, and he does travel and a lot of coaching, lifestyle, and all this different model. And I think one of the things that he'll be sharing about is how he managed to transform the way he worked, especially during this COVID-19 period, whereby it's really hard to do travel related industry, how he managed to transform his work and bounce back as an entrepreneur. And best part is that he's based in Hong Kong, so he will actually be showing us some really cool Hong Kong footages. I'm really looking forward to it, so I hope you are as well. Stay tuned.
Hey everyone, hi, my name is Vimal and I'm doing this vlog with Stan the Man. He's asked me to share a slice of my life with you. So a little bit about what I do, how I do it, and kind of importantly, where I do it. So if you haven't recognized it, this is Hong Kong. I've called this home for the last 9 years. I'm here with my family. That's a beautiful wife and 2 amazing kids, one of whom is actually helping me film this right now. Hi Sarah, and I might show you what she looks like later. So I'm a consultant. I started my own business about 4 years ago. We help travel businesses in the travel industry and the aviation industry. We help them to grow and scale through the effective use of strategy, sales, and particularly social media marketing. So that's a little bit of what I'm going to share with you through my journey across parts of Hong Kong, which Sarah's going to help me film. And by the way, at the end, I'm going to share with you a little bit of a secret, so stay tuned. The blue ocean. You don't always get blue ocean opportunities in business. Haha. Can't resist the analogies, it's too beautiful. But yeah, blue ocean opportunities are hard to come by. It's pretty much a red ocean in almost every business these days. Certainly in travel and aviation, and particularly in these times of COVID-19, right? Every business is suffering, everyone is suffering. I mean, I don't think there's anyone who's not suffering. So, just a thought. Here's to blue oceans. Who knows, right? Every crisis throws up opportunities. Have you thought about what are some of the blue oceans that you can aim for? I'm thinking about them all the time. So here we are on the other side, on the dark side as it were, the Kowloon side. And so what is it that I do exactly as a consultant? So here's what I do. I begin my day by spending 30 minutes at least, sometimes 45, on LinkedIn. I follow the feed of the companies that are interesting to me and the companies that provide me with great content. I also spend a large proportion of that 30 minutes creating my own content. Until recently, I used to do it pretty diligently almost every single day. And that's a mix of content from video to short form posts to blogs to sharing other people's content. I do that for 30 or 45 minutes a day, and probably the most important part of that 30 or 45 minutes is me engaging with other people in my network. And so that's what I consider to be prospecting, because that's how I get my feed, my content seen on other people's feeds. That's how I discover interesting things that are happening in the world around me. That's how I read about news and opinions and what the companies that I'm interested in are doing. So I make sure that I do that for at least 30 to 45 minutes every morning, and then I connect with people as well. That's the last bit of what I do in those 30 to 45 minutes every morning. So I make sure that I reach out to people who are interesting, not yet in my network. I send them connection requests usually with at least personalized messages. Not always though, but most of the time. And then I connect with people. So that's how I begin my mornings.
One of the questions that people commonly ask me is, how do I find inspiration for regular content? To be honest, one of the things that I always take note of is what comments people tell me. So for example, this question that someone asked me regarding the point of inspiration becomes a content topic for me. And also I spend a lot of time online on social media as well as on LinkedIn and a lot of enrichment sites, whereby there's many interesting discussion all the time regarding heavy loaded topics. And I think in Singapore, one of the heavy loaded topics is definitely elections. And if let's say we are able to come up with content revolving around this topic, it will definitely be a great content piece. But if you're not able to write on this content, it's always keeping your ears out and open and your eyes peeled, so that when there's a relevant piece of trend that's going on, you can hop onto it and drive results. So in the previous video, Sam, my bro, actually shared a little bit more about how he finds his inspiration for content as well. One of the things as well is also seasons. Some seasons it's undeniable, and for example, things like Father's Day, Mother's Day, or even public holidays, if you have a good content piece that can write on it, that's about you can drive traction. And this is a little bit of here and there in terms of how I manage to find inspirations for content piece. But most importantly for myself, I tend to keep a record of all the great pieces of content that I've read so far, and I spend a lot of money as well as time buying materials, be it offline materials or online materials, to kind of like understand and soak up different information source. Because at the end of the day, right, it's not so much about what content you want to create, it's more like what you actually know, and from there you can churn out content. So I hope this helps.
So that in the background is Sarah. She's taking a break from filming me, so I'm going to do this myself, okay? So the next thing I do most mornings is I connect with my clients. I get on Zoom calls, phone calls, WhatsApp, emails. I follow up from the previous days. I go through my to-do list. I see what's pending for the day, what's due, what meetings I have, and so on and so forth. And then I reprioritize, right? Because very often things have happened overnight, because a lot of my clients that I speak to are in Europe or in America, and while I'm sleeping, they've been working, and so things have happened overnight, and things get pushed up the agenda. And that's really how I start my day. Very importantly, with a cup of coffee first, right? So what do I do as a consultant for these clients? Well, anything they want me to do, and it usually begins with some investigation and analysis into the problems that they have that they need solving. From a sales perspective, it usually boils down to a couple of things, a couple of core things typically, which is they want to enter new markets, they want to expand existing channels, they want to find new sellers or new customers. And that's really what the outcome needs to be at the end of the day. You need to connect them to new sellers and new buyers and new partners, and grow into new markets and figure out the strategy for doing so. And that strategy is where my first 30 minutes or my first 45 minutes of the day really comes in really handy, because I've connected with a large network of people, because I have the right connections in the industry, because I have an insight into what's happening across the industry, across other companies, including my clients' competitors, what new innovations are coming out. This is why I can bring to the table for my clients a different perspective on what's happening. They typically end up being very focused in the business. I bring them the width and the breadth of what else is happening outside of their business. So think of it as a T-shape, right? The vertical in the T is the depth of the industry expertise that, frankly, even I bring in after 20 years of being in the industry, and the breadth is the width and the breadth of information and analysis that I bring in from other competitors and other businesses in the industry. And that's usually pretty powerful, because it gives different perspectives, it gives different insights, it allows people to have a larger perspective on what's happening, and it's great for innovation, because you can bounce ideas off each other. You can ask questions like, should I be going into this market, and if I do that, what are the pitfalls, what are the downsides, what are the advantages, and so on and so forth. So that's really at a very high level what I do in terms of strategy.
Sales and marketing is one of the biggest questions that I also battle with, because in my role, I'm actually a sales director. So in other words, I do a lot of sales, but at the same time, I also do a lot of marketing as well. So how do you differentiate between these two, right? So really, to put things in perspective, marketing is about building a long-term sustainable gateway or pipeline, so that people will think of us whenever they need certain service or products, or your brand will come to their mind first. Whereas for sales, right, it's pretty immediate. When I get a lead, I want to convert, I want to close a deal. So this is how I differentiate between these two segments itself.
So what about marketing? What do I do in terms of marketing for my clients? I mean, I've helped them with sales. I help them by connecting them to clients and targets and partners, and I join the dots for them from an end-to-end perspective. But what about marketing? What does marketing involve? You know, marketing is a really sort of misunderstood thing, and to be honest, I kind of blend the two in when I talk about sales and marketing. A friend and a colleague of mine from DLA Ignite, Timothy Hughes, he actually has written a book, and he talks about smarketing, S-M-A-R-K-E-T-I-N-G, smarketing. And I used to think it's smart marketing, but actually it's a blending of sales and marketing together. If you think about it, that makes a lot of sense, because gone are the days when you can draw a very clear dividing line between what sales does and what marketing does. Now, you might want to do that from a tactical perspective as to who's responsible for which activity in a company. But really, if you look at it as a business holistically, sales and marketing are really two sides of the same coin, right? You can't be doing marketing you can't ignore marketing if you want to grow your sales, and you ain't going to have any sales if you're not going to engage in some kind of marketing. So what is it that I do in marketing? I focus largely on organic social media marketing. And what that means is that I train executives and businesses, particularly if you're a B2B business within travel and aviation. I train you how to leverage platforms like LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and so on for your B2B marketing purposes. And this has nothing to do with advertising. God, I hate advertising. Like many people, I have ad blockers. I just don't, when an advertisement comes on, I go do anything I can to just skip it, not watch it, turn the volume down, and so on. Even close my eyes, right? But I help companies leverage platforms like LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram to talk about themselves in a human and a relational way. And that's through the use of social media by individuals within that company, within that brand, who talk about what is it that they do, what is the business that they're in, how they add value to their customers and to the lives of their partners and to people who work within the company in a human way. It's not about advertising. It's not about creating amazing white papers or anything like that. But it's just about, and certainly not about buying adverts, right? Think about it. Everyone can buy an advert. Anyone with the money can buy an advert and say, we're number one, we're this, we're that, we have these products with these amazing features, and so on. What I do is I help people understand how to be human on social media like this, kind of like if you go to a party or you go to a bar and you're meeting new people, you don't stand in there and say, hey, I produced this app and it has these amazing features and benefits. No, you don't do that. You kind of go into a bar and you introduce yourself and you say, hi, my name is so-and-so, and I've lived here for X years and this is what I do, and tell me about yourself, right? It's about being human and being relational. And that's really what it means to be engaging in social marketing, social media, and not just media and advertising.
Now, as I'm going towards my next destination, one of the books that I'll be reading while I'm on the transport, it's a book about PR. The title was really interesting, which is why I kind of got it. It's called Extraordinary Impact, Low Budget. Because one of the things that a lot of clients want is that they don't want to spend so much money to get impact and results, but it's often very difficult to achieve that punch without actually spending money. So this book caught my attention immediately, and it's by a PR practitioner with years of experience. So I'm kind of like indulging in this book right now, and hopefully I will be able to pick up some PR points as well, because as a marketer you need to learn beyond just general marketing scope, but you also have to go into the nitty-gritties of different areas like offline, online, and PR is definitely one of the things that you can drive impact with marketing content. So yeah, for aspiring marketers over there, don't just think and limit yourself to maybe like digital marketing, but also focus on things that you can learn beyond your scope, which for me, expanding the PR and events was definitely out of my scope, but I enjoyed it and now I'm learning more and more. Thank you.
So here we go. As we begin our journey across the harbour, I thought it's again another good analogy for me to begin with my journey on being an entrepreneur. I came to Hong Kong because of a job. I was employed by a duty-free company to help them grow their business and scale. And a few years after I joined them, I decided to start up my own business. And I did that first by helping startups. My spare time, in my free time, I connected with a number of technology startups, travel tech startups as I like to call them. We were trying to disrupt and improve the travel industry. And along the way, I realized that with so much disruption happening in the world, it's a good chance that most businesses in almost every industry will face some kind of disruption. The entrepreneur bug kind of bit me somewhere around then. And in 2016, I decided to start up my own company to bring some of these travel startups into the business, so to speak. And that's how I started. I really started by helping startups get into the industry, get into travel, connect with businesses. I use my network, I use my industry knowledge, and that's really how I started. And in retrospect, there's a couple of lessons I learned. One of which is don't start your business in Q4. Yep, absolutely. Don't start your business in Q4 because that's the time of the year when everyone is the busiest. Everyone's looking forward to Christmas. Well, of course, it depends on what you do, but generally, if you're a consulting business, probably not the best time of the year for you to grow and scale your business. Knowing what I know now, I would have started my business probably in January on Q1. But in any case, that's the first lesson I learned. And then along the way, I kind of went sideways for a couple of months. I got a few opportunities and offers based on the people that I used to know and the companies I used to work with. And that's really how I began. I kind of just muddled my way around. And if I were to look back 4 years and give myself some advice, I would have told myself to spend a little bit more time on the business canvas, spend a little bit more time on the objectives and on the metrics, and on trying to discipline myself a little bit more in terms of what I wanted to do and how I would have done it. But c'est la vie, that's life. You always look back. Hindsight is always 20/20. And so here we are, 4 years later. I'm going across the Hong Kong harbour and crossing the chasm, as it were. What do I mean by that? So there was this interesting book written many years ago, and there was this idea by Professor Clayton Christensen about how businesses need to cross the chasm, and they cross and that chasm is really the chasm between just doing your business and the early adopters who take on your technology or your product or your services. And how do you actually cross the scale chasm to reach the other side and to grow and scale as a business, to have much more business, many more customers, many more paying customers, and making sure that your business and your product or your services are an established part of the industry. And that's the chasm that you have to cross. And that's the chasm that most businesses actually find really, really challenging to cross. It's not easy to do that. I can't say I have done it, but I'm well on the way of doing that because I've taken a little pivot in my life, in my business. I've taken multiple pivots actually, but more on that later. So here we are entering the Hong Kong harbour. Told you a little bit about where I started, where I'm heading to, and kind of the chasm that I had to cross. Stay tuned for more.
One of the big questions that people also have is, how do you balance your work and your personal time? Like, how do you have a life? Let's say if you're working really hard. Because I think a lot of people have the impression that I work really hard. That's true, I'm not denying it. But at the same time, you can still have like a leisure life and time for friends as long as you prioritize them and schedule them accordingly. So I'm a very big believer of living with a schedule. Because with a schedule, you can actually do wonders with your time. Especially we only have 24 hours a day. If you want to meet your friends, for example, right now I'm on the way to meet my friends for a dinner, a buffet dinner. So I've scheduled them accordingly at 7 p.m. for example. So as far as possible, I try to get a lot of my things done before that and things done after that.
Hey everyone, so I'm back in my virtual office. This is kind of what I use as the background when I'm talking to some of my clients and when I'm on my webinars. And some of the things that we typically have been talking about as part of my business in the last few months has been around the impact of COVID-19 in the travel industry, for example. So I just wanted to give you some sense of what I've been telling some of my clients around COVID-19. One of the things I say, for example, is that we are likely to going to have to learn how to live with COVID-19. Not necessarily, things are not, it's not necessarily going to go away because of a vaccine or something like that. So I think learning how to live in a socially distanced environment is going to become a part of our lives. And because of that, I think a lot of us are going to prefer having no-touch economies or low-touch economies where we don't touch not just each other, but also, products, and you're going to have a lot more digital services coming into play, which means that, and we've seen this over the last few months, that the business of doing business has actually moved online. And so what does that mean? That means that the way you search for partners or customers or suppliers, the way you refine that decision, the way you reach out to people, the way you engage in discussions and negotiations and all of that, all of these things have really moved online. Even buying has moved online now, not just B2C, but also B2B. So it really is about the world becoming a far more digital place than it used to be. And that extends to, the way we do business with each other. So, when you meet people for the first time, likely you want to do some due diligence, right? So you want to check them out. You probably go on Google, you go on YouTube, you go on LinkedIn, and you check people out, you check companies out. That's just the way it's going to be from now on. About, for example, is what exactly is organic social media marketing? What is social selling? What do I do with clients when I talk about organic social media marketing, not paid advertising? Let's get one thing clear. Social selling and social media marketing is not spamming people on LinkedIn or spamming people on social channels, right? There's, we all know there's a lot of people who seem to do that these days. They send you an unsolicited message and they expect you to just buy from them. So let me give you some of the key elements around social media marketing. There's essentially 4 or 5 key elements, and it always begins with your personal brand. Look, forget about the word brand and personal and all of that, but just understand that there is only one you. You're the best version of yourself. You're the most unique thing in the world because there really is only one of you. So, it doesn't matter whether you work for someone, whether you're looking for a job. What you need to do is establish yourself as a unique differentiator, establish yourself as somebody trustworthy, as a subject matter expert. People want to connect and buy from people whom they trust. Employers want to hire people that they can trust. Trust is really the new currency in the world today. Especially because we are in a social world, right? So when someone meets you for business, the first thing that they do, or even when an employer is thinking of hiring you, what's the first thing that they do? They Google you. They try to find you on LinkedIn. They try to find you on Facebook. They want to see what your social media profiles are like. And so what you need to think about when you talk about personal brand, or when you think about personal brand, is that think of it as you controlling the story that you want others to find about you. As the saying goes, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. So make sure that you manage your own reputation by managing your own personal brand online. Otherwise, people will make up their own minds about you. So my personal brand, for example, is that I am seen as an expert in the travel, retail, and aviation industries. Does it mean I know everything? No. Does it mean I need to know everything? Of course not. Nobody can know everything. But it does mean that anyone within my network who wants information, advice, or even want to get in touch with anybody within travel, retail, and aviation, they will come to me for help because they trust me to be able to do that for them. And so this is so useful for me in life and in business. Now, the second key element in terms of being social on social media is the fact that you need to connect and you need to network, right? As the old saying goes, you are who you hang out with, or you are the company that you keep. When someone finds you on Google, LinkedIn, or Facebook, they also want to see who you are connected to. They want to see if you have any common connections, any common histories, right? We all do this, we all look for common experiences with people. It's how we build rapport. And this is where connecting and networking becomes so important, because the larger your network, the better and the more important it could be for you in terms of connecting with people and finding new opportunities in life. The more people you know, the more relevant those people are for you, then the better you will look because of them, right? So your network becomes your net worth, which is another old saying. Having a strong, relevant network is great because there are people that you can count on, and there are lots of people who will count on you and trust you and like you. And the more that they trust you or like you, the better that they will think of you, especially if you have a strong personal brand. So together with the strong personal brand, having a constantly updated network and a constantly enlarging one will be super useful for you in business and life. You become seen, as I said, as a trusted expert and someone who can be relied upon in times of need. For me, for example, ever since COVID hit in the last 5 months, just to give you one example, I have been contacted by numerous organizations such as Intel, Amazon, even Google, for my views and my advice on what's going to happen in the travel industry in the future. Am I better than them? No. But why have they contacted me? Because they see me as a trusted advisor, as somebody who keeps a tab on the trends. And also because I'm lucky to have a large network of friends who recommend me to their network who might be in need. So, you can see, and we all know in business how powerful word of mouth recommendations are, right?
And now I'm my best friend for over 10 years. Is it over 10 years or is it more? Since when we are secondary ones, so that was when we are 13, now we are 25, so 12 years of friendship. Yeah, so he was my friend even like when I was a pretty bad student. Yeah, just to share some of your personal recount of Stanley.
Yeah, Stanley is a great companion since secondary school. I'm so blessed to have him as my lifelong friend. And
Political speech.
Yeah, general election just ended, but this is definitely a genuine answer. I'm not speaking as a politically correct answer. So yeah, he's definitely my best friend. I can count on. He can go through any problems with me also. So I really love him.
And he's definitely mine as well. So every time I have issues and stuff, I'll just go to him and tell him about it. So you'll always be the listening ear, non-judgmental. Yeah, even from secondary school. So it's really cool. And I think one of the things that we do as friends, we also have one more friend that's not here. We are going to go and meet him now. This is birthday gathering. So his name is GT. So one thing we always do to keep our friendship strong is that every time during our birthday and maybe during every few months, we actually gather to have a scheduled meeting. Scheduled meeting. Usually scheduled. Yeah. So we'll agree on a time that we all are okay, and we meet. So, and that has been for many years. And I think if you are looking to maintain a long-term friendship, and yeah, you need to make time for each other. Yeah.
Hey guys, so it's night time to call it a day. I've covered quite a bit of ground. I brought you around Hong Kong a bit, taken the ferry told you a little bit about my life as a consultant, spoken about marketing, and as promised, now's the time when I let you in on a little secret. So I'm actually heading back to Singapore for good, or at least for as good as it gets right now. I've been in Hong Kong for 9 years. This has been home. It's been an amazing place, and it's going to be an interesting change for me because I personally haven't lived in Singapore for the last 20 years. So going home is going to be full of discovery, full of wonder, full of excitement, a bit of trepidation as well. But you know, we're all looking forward to it. The kids have never lived there, so they're looking forward to it. My wife hasn't lived there, she's looking forward to it. I miss the food so much, but I'm really looking forward to being back. And if we are not already connected, please connect with me on LinkedIn or Facebook. You know, I'm really happy to connect with new people, especially if you're in travel or aviation. And if you need any help with social media marketing, it doesn't have to be travel and aviation. If you need any help with social media marketing, just reach out to me. Okay? Thanks a lot, Stan, for giving me this opportunity. I'm really, really grateful, and I'm looking forward to looking at the final result. Take care, and I'll see you guys soon.
So I hope you guys actually enjoyed this video that we put together for you. And you learn a lot about social media marketing, branding, and how do you attract more deals. And if you are into sort of like finding a new career, you learn how to do a bit more branding. And Vimal shared a lot of good deal of tips. So remember to leave your comment if you have anything that you'd like to share with Vimal or myself. And you can check our socials below. Do hit the like button, subscribe, and see you guys for the next episode for a lot more great content. Ciao!